Hi, this is CoolKay, and this is Countyfairgrounds, and I have Larry Hiskett, also known as Washboard Willie, on the line with me. Hello, Larry.
Hello, CoolKay. How are you today?
Oh, we're very, very busy, very, very normal. Hey, listen,
That's
the first thing that happened to me when I started looking at your stuff and your website and looked at everything you have online is that you were trained in landscaping. So the first question, yeah.
Yep.
How did you end up doing this?
Well, I was a professional drummer. I've been a drummer since I was 10 years old, and then I played my way through junior college, and then I was in a job after junior college as a draftsman. I was very good at drafting through junior college, and then I got into a couple of bands, and then I got into a band and went on the road for 2.5 years in my early 20s. And then I got burned out, and I went back to Wichita, Kansas, where I was based out of, where I left, and got a job with I got a job with a landscape architecture and engineering company called Oblinger Smith.
Okay.
And within a year, I fell in love with the landscape architecture part. And the company helped me get a loan, and I went back to college when I was 24 to get my landscape architecture degree.
Okay.
And I played my way through college too. And then summer of 1976, me and a partner, we went to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and worked on a project for school and also a real project for the city of Eureka. We were doing an open space and outdoor recreation plan. And then we were also CEDACOR supervisors, meaning that we supervised a group of about 20 kids that were deemed underprivileged, and so we resurrected stairs and retaining walls, and we did planters, and we kind of greened up and beautified Eureka Springs, Arkansas. So one Sunday afternoon, I walked into a bar in downtown Eureka called the Hi Hat Bar and Grill, and there was a band setting up. And so I said, okay, this is cool. So we hung out with a bunch of friends, and I saw this guy walking around with a long beard and overalls and barefoot, and I thought he was just, helping the band out and everything. And when the band started up, he picked up a washboard and started wailing at it, and I said, oh my God, that looks like fun, and I could do that. Well, I filed that in my brain somewhere in the back room, and went on and became a landscape architect and worked with the company in Wichita, and then Kansas City, and then they transferred me to Denver, and I went and did 3 months in Saudi Arabia on a project with another member of the team was in Denver, and then I decided to, they wanted me to go back to Saudi Arabia. I said, nope, no way. And then, so I quit and got a job with the city of Aurora, met my wife. We eventually wound up in Evergreen, or off of South Circuit Creek, and she worked for Snuggly, and I started my own business. And then I think about summer of 83, or the winter of 83, some brand new neighbors came. Oh wait, I forgot one thing. While I was at the city of Aurora, I had a lunch break, and I went over to the Buckingham Gardens Mall next to the offices, and they had an antique show going on. And so this is about 1980, about 79, 80.
Yeah, a few years ago.
a few years ago, but it was a couple years after I graduated. And I'm walking around after lunch looking at all the antique stuff and everything, and lo and behold, I see this washboard, an old National 134 model. You're probably very familiar with that model. And all of a sudden that little light and that ding went off in my brain and said, oh yeah, I remember that guy. So I bought it, and my wife really didn't like me playing music or doing anything with music at the time, so I just stuck it in the closet. So fast forward again to about the winter of '83. We had really three bad winters in a row, '82, '83, and '84. And so I get a knock on my door, and it's a neighbor I hadn't met yet, and we were up on 8,500 feet on this mountain, the Hilldale Pines, off of South Turkey Creek, and he said, he introduced himself as Toby, and I said, hi, Toby, how can I help you? He said, well, my wife stuck down below in a snowbank, and it was about 2 miles up this dirt road to our house on this mountain. So I had a 4-wheel drive pickup, so we loaded up and went down and rescued her. And on the way back up, they were brand new to the neighborhood, and we were talking, and come to find out they were a country western duo. He played guitar and banjo, and she played bass. Okay. So later that summer, they invited us over for a picking and grinning a potluck party. And I said, oh, that sounds like fun. And I thought, you know what? I got that washboard in there. Maybe I'll get that washboard out. And I got some sewing thimbles. And I went over to the party and stuff, and we jammed around. And I just, I've been a drummer, a marching band drummer, jazz drummer. And so I just started picking around the washboard, just doing basic beats and everything. And they loved it. Next thing you know, they invited me to be part of their band. And so I would play drums on the country music and stuff, and when he got out the banjo, I got out the washboard, and we wailed away with banjo and washboard and bass. And I broke through my first washboard, the metal, it was old, basic metal fatigue on the galvanized tin. So then I tried going down to Denver and all the antique malls and stuff, and I could not find another one like it. So I got some similar, but they never sounded the same or whatever. And after breaking about 2 or 3, I got my frame out, and I took the old corrugated metal, and I took it to a sheet metal shop down in Denver, and I took my frame to a friend of mine that was a furniture manufacturer friend, and I created the first Hiskett rhythm board. And I started adding and I had added a cowbell here and a woodblock there, but I started cooking out a little bit more, and because I had a jazz drum kit, so I was just starting to put a lot of different sounds on it and everything. A cymbal, I got an old antique taxi horn and stuff, and I don't know if anybody remembers Spike Jones, but he was a great entertainer in the 40s and stuff, and some of the old films and stuff I grew up with. And he had a lot of fun with the music. He would introduce all kinds of sounds and whistles and stuff in his music. So I thought, well, this looks like fun, I might as well have fun with it. And so I started adding all those sound effects. And then one thing led to another, and I eventually got divorced, moved off of the mountain, moved to Boulder, played there, and then I moved up to Loveland, Colorado, became a park planner for the city of Loveland in about, 85, I guess.
A few years ago, right?
A few years ago. I'm an old man.
Oh, wow.
And, young at heart, and the music has kept me young. But I moved up there and was enjoying playing music with a band, and we actually started a band called Boy Jaime and the Alpine Blasters, and it was a punk polka band, and I had lederhosen and played the washboard, and the guys all played acoustic music, and we had 2 bands, the Exhausted Roosters and Boy Jaime. And one Saturday afternoon in Labor Day weekend, in 87, we went to a park and played with another band and did our Boy Jaime shtick as a comedy set. And afterwards, my girlfriend and I, we decided to take a motorcycle ride up to Evergreen, Colorado.
Evergreen has a lot of weird stuff that goes on in it.
Yeah, Evergreen was a great place. This was Estes Park. I'm sorry. We played in Greeley, and then we just went back to my place in Loveland and decided to take a motorcycle ride on a Saturday afternoon up to Estes Park. They were having a Honda Goldwing rally, and I had a Honda Goldwing. It was a busy weekend and lots of traffic, and I just passed some cars, and I coming into this curve about 5 miles before I got to Estes Park, and there was a turnoff there to look out on the Big Thompson River, and it was gravel, and all the traffic in and off the road. When we went around that curve, we hit a whole bunch of sand and gravel on the pavement, and we spun out, and we both went down into the rocks in the Big Thompson River. We had our helmets on, thank God. But when I woke up in the ambulance looking for Marcia, and I said, "Where's Marcia?" And she said, "Well, they were flight for life her to Fort Collins, and she broke her lower lumbar back, and was then now paralyzed for the rest of her life." And I got to the hospital, spent 3 days in the hospital. They released me, and I said, "What? I hurt like hell." And they said, "Well, you don't have any broken bones. You're just beat up and muscle tears and everything." So,
old age, Willie.
It was like I was beat up with a baseball bat because we went down on the rocks and stuff. And so I got that next year was pretty much a roller coaster ride of grief and sorrow and survivor guilt. And my job as a park planner there, they were very lenient. They gave me time off when I felt like it, and for a long time I didn't feel like even going to work. And people would bring me food and things, and that's when I got back on my feet and I started working. But it was just a tough thing. And about a year later, I quit the city of Loveland as a park planner, landscape architect, and I started this journey called Washboard Willy. An amazing journey, and it's taken me around the world. And now I do fairs and festivals all over the United States. I've been doing it for over 30-some years now. And it's been just an amazing adventure, and I love it.
What was your first big performance with the washboard? Do you remember?
Oh, I did a big performance at a festival in Wichita, Kansas. There were like 2,000 people on the street, and then my partner and I, David, I ended up eventually, after the city of Loveland, traveling with a band from Wyoming, and landed in Steamboat Springs, where I met a friend of mine, Dave Moran, and we became Dobie and Willie, the last Low-Tech Troubadours. And we went out to Wichita for a festival. Some friends of mine helped run it, and that was probably my first biggest.
How'd it go?
It was great. People loved it. He played banjo and guitar, and I played washboard and stump fiddle, the gut bucket. And we were a big hit, and then eventually we went to Japan, and then that's where I eventually became a one-man band after going over there for 3 times.
Oh, how did they react to it in Japan?
Well, Japan, it was amazing because I was 6'2", big blonde hair, white gaijin, playing a washboard, and nobody had ever seen that. We were playing at a flower park in outside of Yamagata, and Come Flower Park. And I took Dave and I there the first year in 1990, and then I took a trio there in 91, and then they invited me back in 1992 by myself. And I said, "What? I'm a codependent washboard player." And so I put together some cassette background tracks, and I went over there for 6 months, and then that's where I decided when I came back that I wanted to be a children's entertainer.
Okay, that's good.
And I've been on stage all my life as a drummer and washboard player, and never even think about being a one-man band. But when I did that, I was on stage there too as a one-man band. And then on Sunday afternoons, they'd have the families show up because the the men in Japan work 6 days a week, so their only day off was Sunday. So you see the families, the whole family, picnicking out in this big green grass lawn next to this restaurant I was playing at. And so I asked my bosses, hey, on Sunday afternoons, why don't I go out there and we'll set up a little stage and put up a little PA and I'll play to all the picnickers. So that's what we started to do. So my next little challenge was trying to interact with the kids, because I would play the washboard and my look and everything, the kids would naturally gravitate towards me. And that's one thing I noticed about the washboard from the very beginning. Whenever I played the washboard with bands or whatever, the kids were just really enthralled with it. So when I recognize them and I look at them, they just freak out and run away. And it's like, how can I capture these kids? So I had a car. I was there for 6 months, so I knew my way around Yamagata. I knew where all the music stores were. And I went and I started buying these handheld instruments, little egg shakers and maracas and little tambourines. And I, when I would set up my stage, and as I'm setting up on a Sunday, I would just see the grass around me, around that stage, with all these little instruments. And when the kids started, I started playing, the kids start walking towards me, I just ignore them. I wouldn't even look at them. I just pretend they didn't exist and play music. And all of a sudden, one kid would look down and see a rhythm toy in the grass, and another kid. And before long, I'd have 30 or 40 kids around me, and I'd jump off the stage, and then we'd do a little conga line through the people and everything. And then when I did that the last 3 months of my stay over there, when I got back to Steamboat Springs, I made the conscious decision to become a one-man band children's entertainer, and that changed everything.
Let me ask you, so when you made that decision, do you remember some of the next few performances that you did, where they were?
I played preschools. I played elementary schools. I played the ski school in Steamboat for the kids, the little youngins that were coming up. They all looked like they were just these puppy little jackets, and these kids waiting to get ski school lessons and stuff. And I would play to because a lot of them were nervous, and they were, separation anxiety from their parents and stuff. So I'd play and interact with them and stuff. And I was having a blast. I played a lot of birthday parties. I played art festivals, and I played with bands, and I played, some by myself and some with other people. I interact in all kinds of ways. I was still working as a landscape architect too, to make it in Steamboat Springs.
Hey Larry, where would you like to perform that you haven't had the opportunity? So give yourself a plug.
I want to go to Australia.
Okay.
I've done a Department of Defense tour in 1998 where we went to Germany, England, Iceland, Norway, Belgium, and so I would love to take my act to Australia or New Zealand. That would be a place I'd love to go.
What about in the United States? Any place?
I've been around a lot of different places. Big E I haven't done in New York. That would be fun. But I would love to play Canada too. I haven't done anything in Canada yet. And but there's always, there's a lot of fairs. As you know, there's a lot of fairs and festivals out there. And I haven't. One thing I would love to do would be the Kansas State Fair, because I grew up in Kansas, and as a kid we'd go to the Kansas State Fair, and I have not done any fair in Kansas where I grew up, and so that would be fun. And so there's a lot of great fairs that I haven't had a chance. Now I've done Alaska several times. I might be going back there, and that's one of my favorite fairs to do is the Alaska State Fair. And it's like a real old-timey fair where all the vendors are all part of the co-op there. So some of the vendors have permanent structures, and they have great food and all kinds of great things going on in Alaska. Plus, you're surrounded by 14,000-foot mountain peaks, and just Alaska itself is just an amazing place to be.
So you make a lot of kids happy. Have you trained anybody to do the kinds of things that you do?
I've had several kids over the years email me pictures, or parents tell me, my child plays washboard now as a drummer because of you. And that's one of the things that I think that makes me different than a lot of one-man bands and entertainers out there is I have an interactive rhythm playground. So wherever I go, I stroll and play at the same time. And then when I stop, I put out instruments. And so it's an interactive playground for the kids and parents and stuff and whole families. And so I've had parents with their autistic kids up there playing a washboard and pedals just in tears. And we ask her, what are you okay? Oh, my son, he's autistic and he's never done anything like that in his life. I'm just totally amazed. And, it amazes me all the time, the power of music and rhythm and how it affects people. And my job is to create atmosphere, a positive atmosphere, and try to, make people smile when they see me play. And I've got a custom-built 650-pound wooden truck-looking thing called Rocco that follows me, and I guide it. It's electric, and it has an electric wheelchair assembly that powers it. It looks like I'm actually pulling it, but I'm actually guiding it. People look at it, and they're just their mouths drop, and they're just amazed when I go by, and I just get all these reactions, positive reactions, and it's a wonderful thing.
Oh, it sounds like a lot of fun. Okay.
It is.
So all right, so how do people reach you if they're interested in booking you?
Well, you can go to I Can Elevate You. That's I Can Elevate, capital U, or U.com, /washboard-willy /. And I have a site there that has all the information, photos and stuff, and some background and bio. I also have a brand new book that is coming out with a second edition called Willie's Wonders. And I just have completed the album, and that's on the website now where you can download the album, Willie's Wonders soundtrack, for that will pair with the book. And I'm now working on the audio book, and hopefully we'll have that done in another month or two. And so I'm always ready and willing to go anywhere someone wants to book me and have me come and play and entertain their audience.
Okay. All right, so you're fairly easy to reach then.
Yes, I am. And I also have a washboardwilly.com site. We don't use that much anymore. It's basically just a promo site. It has a bunch of other pictures and stuff on it too. Our primary site is icanelevateyou.com. Okay.
Okay, well, I've enjoyed the call, and we'll get it up, and we'll hopefully get you some business, and maybe I'll call the Kansas State Fair for you.
There you go. I would love that. And thank you for all you do, CoolKay, for representing the fair industry out there. It's a great family. I've been doing it a long time, and they are, you can't choose your own family, but you can definitely choose your fair family. And there's a lot of wonderful people that work in that industry, and I always enjoy going out and spreading the joy and love for what I do, and that's why I like to show people is and people best thing people do walk up to me and they say, "It looks like you love what you do," and I said, "Absolutely, that's why I'm here."
Well, thank you, Mr. Willie. Bye bye.
Well, thank you, Miss Kay. You have a blessed day.
You too. Bye bye.